All right, Nicole, oh, fantastic. All right, so here's the deal, guys. My name is ERGJ. I am a certified financial educator and I am a personal finance coach. And I help people. Basically, I teach children about money. That's the number one thing that I do. That's my passion. I want to make sure that the next generation does not have to face the things that we face. And the way that we can do that is making sure that we educate them. And so I was super inspired today because I've seen a lot of people sending out pictures of the things that they've been doing with their kids, things like playing Monopoly with them. And hopefully teaching them about that Monopoly game. I do one of those things as well. I do a Monopoly 101, and I teach people about Monopoly, like not just playing the game, but understanding all the things that have to do with Monopoly, because it's important that you understand what you're playing as well. Obviously, you want to play it and have fun, but it's important that we understand and we teach our children exactly what these things are, what property is, what income is, what taxes are. You can find a lot of that stuff in the Monopoly game. Also saw someone that sent out a picture of them playing with their kids, Cash Flow for Kids by Robert Kiyosaki. I was like, oh man, this is fantastic. This really got me pumped up. Like, these people are people that are connected to me that I think I've had some type of influence on, that are doing some of the things that we talk about doing. Because here's the thing, guys, we talk about it all the time. We talk about what the world should do, what society to do, what everyone else should do. But my question is, what are you doing? What are you doing with your family? What are the conversations that you're having with your kids? And stop worrying about what everybody else is not doing and start worrying about what you are doing, because your little influence, your little small piece of the pie of this great land that we call America, or this great world that we live on called Earth, is to make sure that you and your family are doing some of the great things to experience life to the fullest. And I'm still introducing myself, but I'm just going in. And so here's the deal. What I tell people is this, is that there are some major pieces to the life puzzle. Okay. There are major pieces to the life puzzle, and then there are minor pieces to the life puzzle. And one of the major pieces to the life puzzle is money management. Regardless of what you want to do in this world, regardless of the things that you want to do, be, or create, or become, you want to be a pilot, I don't care, whatever it is, whatever you do, it hopefully is going to generate some income from you. And what you do with that income has a lot to do with your health and your wealth and your happiness. It really does. And here, think about it, man. When people don't have the stress of not being able to pay their bills, don't they feel so much better? When people are broke, busted, and disgusted, how do they feel? It has an effect. It has an effect on them emotionally. It has an effect on the way that the decisions that they can make. And so we know the impact that it has in the lives of our lives and the lives of those that are connected to us, our family. And the question is, are we going to start to listen to different voices so we can do different things? Because I believe that the only reason why we find ourselves in a lot of places that we find ourselves in, because the education isn't as prominent as far as financial literacy is concerned as some of the other things that we do. I mean, the reality is it's not taught in all the public schools, but you're going to learn math. You're going to learn some algebra. You're going to learn these basic things. And one of the basic life skills, even from the biblical standpoint, stewardship, is money management, how you manage your resources. So regardless of what you believe in, regardless of of what side of the fence that you stand on, regardless of if you're Republican or Democrat, regardless of your black, white, blue, red, you got to learn a key, which is money management. And so what we're talking about today is how to live, living the debt-free life. This came up in a conversation that I was having, and it was like, you know what, I want to talk about this. And I figured the best place to do it was on Blab. Why not blab about money? That's what I am. I'm a certified financial educator. I'm a personal finance coach. And if you guys don't know what a personal finance coach is, I help people. I guide people from debt to wealth. I guide people from red to black. If you don't know what red to black is, red means that you owe people. Red means that you had a bad fiscal year. Black means that you was in profitability. So that's the business side of things as well. And that's what I do. I help people to really see things differently and understand these simple concepts, which everyone understands or everyone hears, but I think it's something different when you hear it from a different voice. So the things I'm going to say today, and the things that we're going to talk about, the things that we're going to share are not things that are new, because there's nothing new under the sun. But maybe you just needed to hear a new voice. Maybe you just need to be inspired a little bit. Maybe you just have to have a little twist. And maybe I'm that twist for you. And maybe this conversation will be that twist for you. And maybe this conversation will be the twist that you'll share with your friends, your family, and people that you're saying that have talked to you about their financial woes, but have not had the conversation about fixing them. Let me just read that again. They've talked about their financial woes, but have not had the conversation about fixing them. Like, how many people have people in their life that, you know, struggle, but the biggest struggle that they have is the struggle to change. Let me repeat that again. You got people in your life that struggle financially, struggle emotionally, struggle with relationships, struggle with all this stuff. But the biggest struggle that they have is the struggle to change. Why is that? Because we have created these habits over time. We've been sold this message over time. And the reality is America is a capitalistic society, and we are all consumers, and many of us overconsume. So, and when I put it out today, I put out the thought of, you know what? The reality is the reason why I'm in debt because I spent more than I made, that I borrowed money for things that I couldn't afford. That is the reality. That is why I'm in debt, regardless of what I did it for. If I did it for school, if I did it for the house, if I did it for whatever, if you didn't pay cash for it, the reality is you couldn't afford it. Now, they will say that you qualify for something, but it doesn't mean that you could afford it, because if you could afford it, then you wouldn't have said, hey, I'm gonna pay for it later. You would have said, I'm gonna pay for it now. Now, of course, we make some decisions along the way, but one of the biggest decisions that we have to make when we go into debt, we're saying that, hey, I am signing this contract to tell you that I'm gonna pay you later. And this is one of the main reasons why I don't believe that you should be looking to get your student loans wiped off the record, because you signed a contract to get the education, and you said, I'm gonna pay back this money when I get my education, regardless, not knowing what the future holds for you. But now a lot of people are saying, hey, I don't want to pay my student loans back. They were too expensive. Well, weren't they expensive when you signed the dotted line? Weren't they expensive when you signed up for it? Yes, they were. So I don't really believe that you should be looking to get them taken off of your record and getting them expunged and things like that. Like, the reality is you signed up for it. You say, hey, I'm gonna pay you later. And what if it was you loaning out the money to someone else? Would you be like, hey, hey, they were expensive. You signed up for it. You got to pay me back. I mean, that's just what it is. So the question is, well, how do I actually start to work on this journey towards getting debt free if you're not already? How many people do we have with us tonight who are debt free? Or even if you're not debt free, let's just say this. Let's say if there's anyone that's here that's totally debt free, that's great. If you only have a mortgage and everything else is paid, say I. That's it. If you have a mortgage, if all you have is a mortgage and student loans, say me. So if you only have a mortgage, say I. If you only have a mortgage and student loans, say me. Everything else, other than debts that have been accrued for maybe a business, because I would consider that to be more of an investment, more of using leverage to build a business, would be a debt. But if you put that on a credit card, then I would still say that's bad debt. And we can talk about good debt and bad debt, but the reality is debt is debt. We can try to classify it if we want, but the end of the day, I owe you. So everything that comes into my hand now, a part of it is yours. So I don't have the freedom of doing everything I want with my money, even though I'm going to do whatever I want with my money. I'm not free to do it, because a part of everything that I get from this point forward until I pay you back is yours. And that's the same thing that goes for the contract that you sign. The same thing goes for the people that you borrowed from, your friends and your family, the same thing. So everything that comes into your hand at this point in time, from this point forward until your debts are paid off, belong to someone else, a part of it. And so what I'm going to do here, one thing that I'm going to do next week, I'm going to have a workshop for the kids, and I'm gonna show them a financial plan. So anyone that has children, I don't care how old, because this is going to be for everybody. I can talk to 5-year-olds and I can talk to 15-year-olds. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go over a financial plan for your kids. And I want you to make sure that your kids are available, that they come, that they show up. Because what I realized is that no one ever gave me a financial plan. So when I went out into the world and started making money and started working and started looking at all these shiny objects that I wanted, I didn't have a plan for my money. And how great would it have been if someone would have sat down with me, that uncle that I have, or that grandfather that I never met, and said, you know what? Here's one of the things that I learned in life, and it's about money. And here's the thing that I want to deposit in you at a young age, so you can always say, you can never say, I didn't know. What you can say is I didn't choose to do, but you can't say I didn't know. So I'm going to give a financial plan to all of the children for free. I'm going to answer that. If you got a question, you got to type \Q so that I can see it. I might miss it. All right. So when am I going to do it? Yes, I am going to do it next Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. If you're following me on Facebook, it'll be easy for you to see. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll put it out as well, and you're going to see that I have a meeting set up on Twitter. And I'll try to make it as visible as possible. You know, you got to do different characters and stuff with Twitter to make sure that people see what you're doing. But it's going to be called KidVest. KidVest. I haven't set it up yet, the meeting up yet, but I'm going to set it up tomorrow. It's called KidVest. So look out for the word KidVest. And this is the program that we've created in order to teach the next generation about money. Now, getting back to living a debt-free life. So it's interesting because, number one, I've been debt-free, and now I'm back in debt just a little bit because of some financial things that's going on. But the great thing about getting debt-free is that you learn how to do it and that you can do it again. And the bad thing about getting in debt is that you learn how to do it and you can do it again. So it can be a roller coaster in your finances, but I think the key is to remain debt-free. Now, why live debt-free? So that's the question. Why live debt-free? So any of y'all got answers as to how great would it feel for you if whatever money that you have going towards paying your slave masters, because that's what they are, their credit cards, all these slave masters that you have tied to your income. These are people that you owe. These are your masters of your money. So whoever it is that whatever it is you have outgoing out of your income to pay your masters, how great would it feel for that money to be yours to use however you please? I'm gonna let you answer that for a second. How great would it feel for all of the money that you might have going out right now to your masters, the masters of your money, the people that you owe, if you had that money available to you today to use it however you please? How would that feel? I don't see nobody typing. Maybe I talk faster than you type. You feel at peace. It feel great. How would it feel? I mean, I really, right now, I want you to imagine right now. She said about $1,100. Great. Imagine. All right. So Britt, answer for me this. If you had $1,100 every month right now, what would you do with it? And this is the same question I want all of you to answer right now, or to think about, even if you don't want to answer. Maybe it's personal to you. I'm not sure. I'm a person that's an open book. But if you had whatever money that you have going to your masters right now, you know what I'm saying? What would you be doing with that money instead of paying these bills? Invest in my kids in business. Go on trips. Building your net worth. What else? Anybody got anything else? It feel like freedom. If I didn't have all this stuff, it feel like freedom. Yeah, you can join via video. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's open, guys. It's an open seats are available. If you want to jump into a hot seat and have a conversation with me, feel free. This is a we show, not a me show, man. You prepare your financials, take care of your parents, spend more time with the family. Hey, Greg, how are you, man? You're the debt shepherd. Something must have connected with you. You said, "Oh, I got to get on this and start talking about this." Maybe you are inspired to. What do you do, Greg?
Well, it's pretty simple. I teach people how to end their debt slavery, if they're willing.
Okay, so you see, yeah, if they're willing. So you teach people how to fire their master. All right, fantastic. So we have all of these things that people would like to do. And here's an interesting thing, guys, because as we go through life, we start looking at all these different things that we like to do and like, man, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. Basically, what we're saying is if I didn't have all of this debt, I'd be able to do it. It's not that I have to go out and start this business. It's not that I have to go out and do all these different things. Obviously, there's a very simple rule: is either you make more, you earn more, you spend less. Now I know most of us focus on the earn more part, because we think, hey, I can just use more of my time to generate more income, to bring more into my household in order to what? Pay off my debts again. But many of us don't even use that income to pay off more of our debts. We use that income to take more vacations. We use that income to go to the club more. We use that income to have more fun. And I'm telling you guys, it's so much more fun when you don't have any debts. How much more fun could you have? Entertainment could you have if you didn't have any debts? And see, what we're doing is we're putting the cart before the horse instead of the horse before the cart. We're saying that, hey, I get this little extra money, I get this little paycheck, I get this bonus, and I'm going to go and have a good time with it. Which, yes, you want to enjoy life, but I'm telling you, life is so much more enjoyable when you don't have to pay any, when you don't owe anyone. When you don't owe anyone. Greg, man, you got some things you'd like to share? I know you wanted to join online. I'm just
Thanks
going
for
in.
opening the seat. There's 2 of us here. You are the host. I am a guest. And there's 16 people listening. That means there's 14 people listening. Why is that chat room not burning up with questions? And why is not this open video seat absolutely smoking with people asking questions? I'm going to give you my answer. Because people are afraid. I've been teaching them this stuff since 2006. I've been in the money business for 15 years. 2000, I got into the mortgage business. And it took me 6 years of getting beat up and beat down and wondering why I wasn't winning. I'm like, something is not right. And I said in 06, my wife and I were making $80,000 between the 2 of us. We're not geniuses, right? We're not geniuses. Like, that's a lot of money, Greg. That's a little bit of money. Who cares? I know people that make 10 times that. Doesn't matter. We were blowing it. We weren't putting any money in the bank. And I said, someone needs to teach me a better way to do this. And they did. I didn't pay him $10,000. I didn't pay him $5,000. I paid him probably $300 for their teaching. And I'm like, somebody just teach me. And they did. And here's the thing. They could have taught me and I could have said, yeah, okay, fine. Have a nice day. Right? I got that teaching. It came in UPS. Came in a big box. Bunch of spreadsheets. Who cares? Bunch of blah, 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 blah. One piece of paper. I looked at that piece of paper and I said, okay, I get it. And I said to my wife, she was in the next room. I'm in the living room. She's in the den where our computers were at. I said, honey, what do you think? She said, look, if you're on board, I'm on board. Here's the key. We came into agreement. And if you're married, committed, I got news for you. If you don't do that, all I can say is it's going to be a little bit tougher if you're doing one thing and your spouse or significant other, I don't care what you call it, your gay partner, whatever, who cares, is not on the same page as you. If you're saving and reducing debt and they're spending and going into debt, you're going to have a serious problem because it's a plus, plus, plus and a minus, 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 right? It's pretty simple. So I got lucky. My wife was a banker. She came from banking. She is now a retired banker. I'm still working. She's 63. I'm 46. Right? I'm still working. Her mom was a retired banker. Her grandpa owned a little tiny little bank up north. No big deal. The bottom line is, whoever's in your house, get on the same page. Right? I want to get out of debt. I want to kick addiction. I want to quit smoking crack. I want to quit smoking whatever. Get on the same page, because if you're not on the same page with everybody in your house, I'm not saying you can't do it, and I'm not saying you can't beat it. I'm just saying it's going to be really, really tough.
It is really tough, and that Mr. Greg just shared something, especially for you guys that are married, and even if you're not married, you can still get in agreement with some people. We've helped people establish some accountability partners. We've helped people get with people that can actually speak into your life and tell you when you're about to do some dumb stuff. Because here's the reality, guys. You didn't get into debt overnight. And so don't think that you're going to get out of debt overnight. You didn't make your debt right now. If you are in debt, you are in debt because of compounding decisions. It's just like compounding interest. It just continues to go over and over and over again, right? And here's the question I want to ask you, because someone brought this up, and they were saying, hey, it's not about, if you get out of debt, you're just back to ground zero and this and that, and you got to build a business in order to be wealthy and all this. And I said, well, hey, That's not what the conversation is about, because you got to ask yourself, how did I get into debt? How you got into debt had nothing to do with what you were making. It had nothing to do with your income. How you got into debt had everything to do with what you were spending. It had nothing to do with your income. If you think about the first job that you had, whatever that may be, whether it was working at the Pizza Hut or Kroger or whatever it is you did, before you got that job, you wasn't spending a whole lot of money because you didn't have a whole lot of money to spend. But then once you got that job and then you got off to college and then you got presented with that first credit card, you said, hey, although I'm not working, although I'm only working 5 hours a week, this is a way for me to get some of the things that I want, even though I can't afford it. At some point in your life, you said that, hey, I'm grown enough to get some of the things that I want, even though I can't afford it. So how we got into debt had nothing to do with how much we made. How we got into debt had everything to do with our mentality on what we can spend, even though we were spending someone else's money. Because that's what we were doing. When we go into debt, we are saying, hey, I'm gonna spend somebody else's money. And the theory is that I'm using it as leverage in order to get an upper hand. But most of us aren't just using debt to get an upper hand. Most of us are using debt just to get stuff, to say that we are keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the times, and things like that. So we got a couple questions, Greg, and see if we can try to answer some of these. I know you guys got questions. I'm trying to keep up with all of the chat, and I know this is a great conversation to have. And so, Stephanie, I know you got a lot. You got a lot of questions. I'm gonna get to you second because you got a lot. So the first question, Greg, says, how do you make the temporary sacrifice of ridding debt appear more attractive to people? How do you make the temporary sacrifice of ridding debt appear more attractive to people? So Ben, for you, and I know you're gonna probably jump into a seat, Ben. I'm waiting to hear from you because I know you got some things to share. But anyway, so for me, that is a very my method is probably a little bit different, because what I've done now, I started to see I'm now seeing what the enemy is as it relates to getting out of debt, as it relates to managing the money. And what I understand now is that the enemy or the opponent is entertainment. That is the biggest opponent to living debt-free or being disciplined with your money and your money management, is entertainment. Most people spend a lot of their money on entertainment. They want to be entertained. They want to, and I call it curbing your appetite. They have an appetite for getting the new phone, getting the new shoes, going to the movies, all of this stuff. And they're never really thinking about, well, how can I still do this on my budget? And most people don't even have a budget, to tell you the truth, but they're saying, hey, how can I do this on my budget? So what I started to do, I said, well, instead of fighting against entertainment, I do what I call edutainment. So I try to entertain people and educate them at the same time. So that's why you see all this passion. That's why you see me live. That's why all this stuff you're seeing right now is because most people have this affinity for having fun. And so if we can show people how you can have fun debt free, how much fun that can be, if we can show pictures and images, if we can give them the music and all of that stuff, for me, that's been very effective for me. And at least starting the conversation, because once we start the conversation and we make people aware of the road that they're traveling, then we can present them with a new road and say, hey, did you know that this was over here? Most people really seem to be unaware. In other words, when I say unaware, I'm saying unconscious. We unconsciously spend. Like, I go to the store, I know I want to get some cereal, but then I walk out the store with cereal, milk, eggs, and all of this stuff that I didn't even need, but I felt like, oh, I want it because I see it. So we unconsciously spend. And so what I try to do is I try to wake up their consciousness, and I really try to hit their pain. Because if you can hit their pain, Mr. Fraser said, people don't run when they see the light. People run when they feel the heat. And see, most people don't want to get financially fit until they feel the heat, until the foreclosure is knocking on their door, until the bankruptcy is right around the corner, until they notice that now they can't feed their children like they want to feed them, even though they had the money 2 weeks ago. So I try to use edutainment. What about you, Greg? How do you how do you help people become more? You said you've been doing it for a long time. So how do we make the temporary sacrifice really appear more
before
attractive?
I even say that, I'm going to say to you, Evan, bravo. Hey, there are 15 people listening minus you and I, which means there are 13 people listening on is this Saturday night, by the way? This is Saturday night at
Yeah, it's a
9
Saturday
o'clock
night.
Central Standard Time. Bravo. Right? Bravo. Yeah, no. I'm not
Thank you,
kissing up
sir.
to you. I'm not sucking up to you. And I'm not anybody listening. You showed up. You could be doing a lot of different things. You could be drinking, smoking, whatever, sleeping. I don't really care. All I can tell you is this. I've been teaching this stuff since 06. And I was like, I need to teach everybody. I need to go get them all. You know what? I teach every Saturday at 11 Central, and I've been podcasting for 4 years. Who listens? I don't know. I have statistics that tell me this many people listen. Doesn't really matter. Who emails you, who pays you, doesn't really matter. No, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is this. If you're sick and tired of what you're getting based on what you're doing with your money, I'm here to help you. It doesn't mean I'm the smartest guy in the world. Greg, do you invest in apartment complexes? Greg, are you a Wall Street guy? No. Greg, are you a whatever? I'm just a normal dude. I've been in the money business for 15 years, and I got news for you. Nobody in the money business took me to the side and said, Greg, wait, come here. I'm going to tell you a secret about how the money really works. No, I had to figure that shit out on my own because it's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. I'd love to believe it is, right? Everybody and most people in the money business, they're like me and you. They're like Evan. They're like Greg. They're like everybody else. They're just paying their bills. They have kids. They have debt. They have credit cards. They have houses. And that's all it is. And it's okay. And even if you talk to a few people that have been to college, and they say, well, when I was in college, they had a brief conversation about the Federal Reserve and how they control whatever. None of that really matters because I went through all that pain and that angst. And I was angry at the system because I understand that it's rigged. And all I'm telling you is this, okay? The money system that we currently live in is no different than what was happening 500 years ago. The king owns all the land, and he tells you, dear servant or dear peasant, I'm gonna allow you. I don't give a damn if you're black or white, right? I'm gonna allow you to live on my land, and if you behave just thus and so, you can raise a couple pigs, a couple chickens, and if you don't piss me off, I'm gonna allow you to have a couple of kids. And if you do piss me off, here's what I'm gonna do, and this is history bears this out. I am going to send my men in to breed into your bloodline because I don't want your bloodline to be superior. And it's my right. God has given me this right. And I'm going to do these things because you are ignorant and you're stupid. And I hate to be blunt, but we think we're so incredibly free. And I'm only speaking for the United States. And I'm being ugly and I'm being blunt. I'm just being truthful to you. Listening in archive or live, right? Nothing has changed since, they broke away from England and they're colonized. And George Washington and all these people signed this piece of paper. It's all bullshit. We are a colony of England. We always have been and we always will be. I don't give a damn whether you're black or white. And here's the thing. I'm not saying if you're a different color than me, you haven't been treated any differently than me. I totally accept that, understand that, and I do not deny that. But what I'm telling you is when we talk about money, the spreadsheet, how debt is created, these people don't care what color you are. Black, white, green, yellow, brown, it doesn't matter. What they want is your energy, your human energy. And as long as you agree with them, they will gladly accept you into their fold. And that's what money is really all about. Does that make any sense?
Hey, makes sense to me, man. So guys, we got one more person coming to a seat or trying to. We got another open seat available. So you have a coach, Miss Graham, and you've got quite a few questions. I'm gonna try to answer some of them. I'm a coach as well. I'm not quite sure your whole situation, but the first thing you ask is, what do I think of? How can one budget with making $10 an hour? Now, it really doesn't matter how much you make. The budget is something that you have to make. So what we say is we have to live within our means, right? So for example, whether it's $10 an hour, $15, $20 an hour, $40 an hour, whatever. Just because, in other words, just because someone's making $1 million a year does not mean that they're living on $1 million budget. They could be living on a $5 million budget and still find themselves broke. And we see that all the time. So don't think because I make a little bit of money that I can't manage. Matter of fact, we had a story about a guy who made $12 an hour for 30 years of his life. He ended up being having a net worth of $100,000 because he learned how to make every penny work for him. What it takes is going to take some discipline. What it's going to take is going to take some strategy. So first, what I would say to everyone is I don't want you to focus on how much you're making. That is a big equation, a big part of the equation. What I've learned to start is what am I spending and where am I spending it at? Because if you listen to the Serenity Prayer, it says, help me to control what I control. And one of the things you can control is how much you spend, where you spend it at. How creative can you be in still getting the things that you want without having to spend all the money? You mentioned that you're trying to build a business. Well, in building your business, you may not necessarily have to spend as much as you think you have to spend if you form the right partnerships. That could be a way of spending less. If you find the sites, the tools, and the software that you can do a lot of it on your own when you have the time, that's a way of spending less. Where you're spending your money now, and I don't know your whole situation as far as your family, your kids, and if you have any, all of that, and how much other income you have coming in. But I will say, that even on $10 an hour, and I was at this place of making $10 an hour. Matter of fact, when I was broke, busted, and disgusted, I had to take a $10 hour job and say, hey, I got to make this thing work. And guess what? While I was making $10 an hour, I started to see my bank account grow because I was that determined to get out of debt. So the first thing is, before the budget comes, there's got to be a determination to say, hey, I'm kicking this debt in the butt. And I would say this to everyone. Everyone right now, I believe, there are some of you guys that have a vision board. And if on your vision board, you don't have debt cancellation, or you don't have your credit card statement on your vision board with an X on it or a 0 on it or a paid in full sign, then what the heck are you doing? Because you're saying, I want to go to this trip, I want to get this car, and I want to do all of this stuff, but we're not really focusing on paying off our debts. Now, getting back to making a budget with $10 an hour, well, first we got to say, well, hey, where are my living expenses? And you mentioned that you might have some high rent. Well, that could be a problem. Like I don't know where the rent came from, whether you were making more before you started making $10 an hour, you got the rent, but it seems like from what you just stated that your lifestyle, your living arrangement, you can't afford the living arrangement that you're living in on $10 an hour. That's the first thing that I would pick up on what you stated in the comments, that you have high rent. I don't know how high your rent is, but $10 an hour doesn't go very far for like a 3 or 4 bedroom house or apartment. It just doesn't. So it may be, if that is the case for you, and I don't know your situation, it may be time to look at downsizing until you can afford a bigger home. Because if all of your money is going into your house, which obviously you need some place to stay, you need some shelter, you may want to look at, well, how can I still accommodate my family, downsize or downgrade so that I can afford the house that I live in, and I can have some additional income to go towards the other things that I'm doing, building my business, getting the food that I need for the household and things like that. So just based off what you shared, the first thing I'm noticing is that your living arrangement is too expensive for your income. Oh, well, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just talking from what you wrote. So, But here's the question, guys. When we say how can I budget off $10 an hour, and this is what I'm gonna share with the kids when I do the financial plan for next Saturday, is what do you do with $10? What do you do with $10? If you're making $10 an hour, the first thing is, what do I do with $10? Because whether I have $10, $100, or $1,000, what do I do percentage-wise with the money that I have coming in? So we can say that, hey, about 55% of your income should go towards your living expenses, right? That leaves you with 35%, and 35% to go towards, maybe paying some bills, maybe giving some contribution, and maybe towards building your business. Well, how far in line, what percentages do you have everything going towards in your budget? How many of you guys actually do budget? Like, some people talk about budget. It's really a financial plan that you have for your life. And I equate it to having a schedule. We have a time schedule. We know when we're going to be, where we're going to be, when we're going to be there. I think we should also have a money schedule, where this needs to go, when it needs to be there. And that's really what a budget is. I really get away from the word budget because people hate it. But yeah, so Ben Baxter, 1/3 of all households do a budget. You enjoy, but yeah, you're a black and white girl. I know it, Noel. So that's what we got. So budgeting on $10 an hour, really, it comes down to the percentage that we have going towards our living expenses, the percentage that we have going towards our debts, and then anything left over, we want to start putting some of that money away so that when things come up, when Murphy shows up at the door, we have some money available to take care of that doesn't get us off track from our budget. So we got a lot of good things coming in the comments. Couponing for toiletries. We're going to be doing some coupon stuff as well. Budgeting, coupon, how to save. And what we're talking about is saving. We're talking about spending less. I really want you guys to start thinking about, how can I spend less money? How can I still get some of the things, not all of the things that I want, but I can spend less for it? Here's the deal. When I go to Kroger, or when I go to the grocery store, you know what I do? I realize that if it ain't,
He'll be back. If you can hear me, Stephanie, how can one budget making $10 an hour? You just budget. If you're making $5 an hour, you budget. If you're making $6 an hour, you budget. If you're making 10 an hour, you budget. I know people that make 5 times what I make. What do I make? I make $45,000 a year. I just told you people that teach about money, they're so damn afraid to tell other people what they make. On a good year with bonus, I make $45,000 a year. It doesn't matter what I make. There was a time when I made $25,000 a year and I didn't save anything. I was broke. I was giving my money to Visa, right? $250 a month, $200 a month, $150 a month, $50 a month. At 45, I now save 10% of my check without fail every single payday. Sometimes I save 20. I get paid electronically, direct deposit. I take that money. Every time it hits my checking account, I transfer the minimum of 10% into my savings account. The minimum. I've been made a co-host. That's cool. No problem there. And I hope the host comes back in, definitely. This is amazing. We have 18 people listening on a Saturday. Minus me, 19 people are listening on a Saturday. This is amazing, powerful conversation. He's coming back in. He had a little technical situation. Absolutely. Automatic deduction from checking into savings it's the easiest way to do it. And I don't have to accept him in. He's the host. So hopefully he'll just come in here and, continue the conversation. It doesn't matter if you make $5 an hour. Are you saving money? Right? And I'm sick of the excuses, right? I'm poor. I'm black. I'm a single mom. I'm white. I don't have any money. I'm uneducated. I don't have a degree. I don't care about any of those things. I've been through all of those things. I've lived in a trailer that was built back in the 1960s, and the guy that I was renting from hadn't changed the carpet in 40 freaking years. It was good enough for me. It was good enough for me because I was making about $5.50 an hour, and I knew it was temporary. Well, he's pushing me down because I'm a certain skin color. Who gives a shit? I was living in Mississippi, one of the most prejudiced areas in the entire country. Did I care? No. So we had a couple trailers. So we had a couple houses. So he rented to me. I didn't care. I was able to sleep there peacefully with a washer and a dryer. Just barely had enough money to scrape that up, right? Roof over my head, lock the door, go to sleep. It's all good. Nothing else mattered to me. and it was temporary. It's just temporary. But if I stay in a zip code, right, no longer a co-host, that's cool. If I stay in the zip code because I think people are keeping me there, what does that mean to me? It doesn't matter about anything other than that's where I think I should be, and that's where I'm going to stay. So that's where I'll stay. All right. When you come back in, Evan, maybe refresh your browser. You can close your browser and hopefully come back in. You're getting lots of props. That's cool. Okay. Well, hang on. Stephanie tried to come in, but then she went away. And Evan is sort of flashing. That's fine. Pardon me. Ben Baxter is trying to come in. And I didn't click him. And if he comes in. Hi, Ben. Hey, I see you, but I can't hear you. And Evan's trying to come in. He's still sort of flashing. Yes, it is. The universe is definitely trying to keep us in debt. I agree. That's the way the system is built. So Ben, try to, are you using Chrome? What's your browser, Ben? Okay, Chrome, that's good. Do you have anything like ManyCam or TwistCam or anything crazy like that? Okay, so if you're using Chrome, go to the top of your where you can see the HTTPS www dot whatever, and look to the right. And there's stuttering along until you came back.
Yeah, that's cool. We got open seats available. So here's the deal, guys. Hey, if this is your first time on Blab, you get an opportunity to let your followers know that you're here. So you can tweet and let your Twitter fans know that you're here. You're talking about being debt-free, living a debt-free life. You can let your Facebook fans know that you're here talking about a debt-free life. So here's the thing, because I know that you're connected to people that need to be in this conversation right now.
Yes.
I know that there are people that are connected to you. You're in your network that have been waiting for someone to have this conversation with us here tonight. And so if you're here and you haven't shared it with your friends, I want you to do that right now. Up in the top left, you have a tweet button and also a post for Facebook, and you can let your network know, because there's some people that's sitting at home right now, broke, busted, and disgusted, wondering, man, where is this message going to come from? This message of hope, this message that yes, I can do it, and we got that message for them tonight. Yep. So why not share with them? Why not change somebody's life tonight by having the conversation that many people don't want to have, and that's about money. The reality is it's a taboo topic that we've been conditioned to believe that we shouldn't talk about, and it's one of the very, very things we need to talk about more of. That's why I'm doing this tonight. So, woo! All right, so we're talking about living debt-free, and I was talking about how a lot of us have the premise of I'm going to focus on making more income. And where I would like for you to start your focus at is how I can spend less money. Because the reality of what I believe is that you got into debt because of your spending habits, not because of your money-making habits. And if you don't fix your spending habits, it doesn't really matter how much money that you make. Because the old saying goes, it's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep. It's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep. And then with what you keep, it matters what you do with it. And then that turns into how you can create wealth. The money that you keep, what you do with it, how you can create wealth. So the first step is learning how to keep more of what you earn. And the way that you can keep more of what you earn is by spending less than what you make. It's very simple, it's very logical, right? And it's very easy to say, but it's very hard to do. It's very simple, but it's not easy. Again, because we live in a society that tells us spend everything that we got, keep buying more stuff, and pay for it later. Pay for it later. So Ben, man, thanks so much for joining, man. How are you? You got some thoughts to share with the people today? No, I can't hear you.
Try to reboot. Come back in, brother. Come back in.
Was he able to talk? Was he talking earlier?
No, he came in, but I couldn't hear him. So please come back in, Ben. We want to hear you, brother.
Yeah, he got to unmute. That's right. Solutions Turk is in the building, man. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to do some shout outs real quick. Denise, you're here. Thanks so much, man. These are a lot of the followers, man. Spy Gadget Rentals, Monty Henry got some spy cameras. That's cool. What's going on? Vango, that's my boy in the building. Thanks so much. Stephanie Graham, I'm going to start following you. You're following me. We're going to be cool. Certified fly chick telling stories. I want to hear some of these stories about photography and stuff. Det Shepherd, let me go ahead and follow you as well. You're my new best bud, man, talking about people getting out there. Let me see if I can hear you, Ben.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Rock and roll, brother. Rock and roll.
Hey, so Mr. Baxter, man, I'm glad that you're able to join, man. Obviously, this is a conversation that's near and dear to your heart. You do some literature on money, and you know, in Alabama. So you may have some things that you'd like to share with the people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, EJ, and also meeting Greg. You're great. Love what you have to say. Yeah, part about the reason I asked that question earlier was just I feel the biggest obstacle to people budgeting and also just getting out of debt is we put our stuff and the things we want on a pedestal so much. If you ask anybody, like, what can you sacrifice, what can you give up to be able to make that $10 an hour work for you, or to be able to give yourself an opportunity to make more than $10 an hour, those things hamper you. Like there's those things in your life that you're spending money on that you just don't want to give up. And those things are getting in the way of you being able to be successful. So that's one thing I'm seeing, and it's come up here on the timeline as well. I'm seeing.
So here's the thing, guys. I want to talk about this for a second. That's very good that you brought that up. And so for everyone that's having problems releasing things, letting go of things, I mean, I had to go through this process of, man, you know what? I'm going to sell everything that doesn't mean anything. I started selling CDs and books. I started getting creative about making some extra money, about releasing some of these things that I was never going to take with me into my next stage of life. And we see that now. We see that, you know, all the cassettes that you had, you can't do nothing with them now. All of the CDs that you had, you can't do nothing with them now because they don't have any value. So here's the question, guys. What do you value more? Do you value stuff more, or do you value your life of freedom more? You have to value freedom. And so when I was listening to this audio, it was very interesting. I want to share this with you guys because it talks about the value system. And you got to ask yourself, 8 tracks must go. You got to ask yourself, what do I value? And you got to be honest about what you value. Because some of us value I'm going to say the wrong thing. We value things more than we value treasures. And let me say that again. We value things more than we value treasures. Now, what's treasures? What's treasures? Most of the things that are worth anything in life doesn't cost anything. Most of the things that are worth anything in life doesn't cost anything. What do I mean? Well, the things that don't cost anything are the things that are irreplaceable. Wisdom, love, family, ambition, the ability to create, all of these things that are inside of you that can never be replaced. Your arm, your legs, your hands. These are things that you've been given by your creator, by God. You've been given in this world that can never be replaced, that should have way more value than the things that can be replaced. What are some things that can be replaced? Your car, your phone. You break it, guess what? You're going to replace it. But the problem is we put way more value on the things that are replaceable, and we haven't put enough value into the things that are irreplaceable. So we'll let our teeth go bad by eating candy, but we'll still buy the candy because we value the candy more so than we value our teeth. Even though our teeth can't really be replaced. They can put some stuff in your mouth and make them look good, but once your teeth are gone, your teeth are gone. It just is what it is. But so we have to change our value system, and the way that we change that value system is learning new behaviors, because we learned the value system that we currently have. It's been taught us and it's been put in front of us time over time over time. And so in order for us to change, we have to first see that there are new opportunities. And so that's one of the reasons why we're doing this tonight. There are new opportunities for us. There are opportunities that exist for people who are debt-free that are not debt versus those that are not debt-free. Why do I say that? Because once you're debt-free, you start to build up your capital, you start to build up working capital. There are some things that you had to pass over, some opportunities that you've had to pass over because you couldn't afford to take them. And it says that luck is where preparation meets opportunity. Some opportunities you're not prepared for because you can't afford them, because you rather have that $600 car payment than actually build wealth. You rather have that $300 car cell phone payment than actually build your business. And so we are where we are today, but we really want to talk about some other things that could be doing, because we want to talk about the possibilities of the things that we could be doing with the money that we have going towards our masters, because that opens up this ray of hope that, you know what, I can do something different. You know what, all of these things that are inside of me that I want to accomplish in life, these places that I want to go, to travel the world and all of this stuff, if I can take care of this money problem that we got going on, and I can fix it myself, because the problem isn't, the problem typically isn't the money that I'm making. The problem typically, again, is the money that I'm spending. How many of us, I like to do a budget, but I really like to track expenses. How many of you guys like to track your expenses? And how many of you guys have done that, have tracked your expenses and actually had a rude awakening, like, man, I can't believe I can't believe I spent all this money, at Starbucks, or I spent all this money, whatever place that you like to go. I mean, isn't it a rude awakening when you actually do I want you to try it for this month, from today to the end of January. I want you to track your expenses. That's all I want you to do. If you just do that without even doing a full budget, if you just do that, you're going to find some things in your life that you can fix. I'll repeat that again. I want you to track your expenses, keep your receipts or whatever, keep a little log or whatever. When you stop for gas, and then you get the gas, and then you go and get the candy and the chips and all that. I want you to do that for just to the end of this month. And then tell me when we meet again if you didn't have a rude awakening to be like, man, here's some things that I can fix as it relates to my spending. Because here's what's going to happen. When you start to track it, you're going to start to say, oh, no, I'm not going in the store to get no candy, because I don't want to put that on my tracking list. And, because now I'm tracking and I'm holding myself accountable to knowing where my money is going.
Well, can I add something to that?
So I had you on mute. What's going on, Mr. Monty Henry?
Hey, have a good seeing you again.
Hey, last time I saw you, you was walking your cat.
Yeah, you guys thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Look,
I've never seen nobody walk a cat. I said, oh my goodness, he got these cats trained.
No, the cat's got me trained. If I don't take that cat out, if I don't take him outdoors at a certain time of day, it just goes crazy. But he's used to it.
So Renata says she's done it for the short term, but she's scared to death of doing it. How many? Now, Mr. Gadget, I'm getting you in just a second. But Mr. Greg, you were mentioning this earlier, that people are just. What is it? What is this fear that people have about facing their finances?
I'm going to just peel it down. I'm going to get real raw. This applies to me. Love the cat sound, by the way. When we talk about the fear of money and the fear of spending and the fear of not having enough, this is what we're really talking about. The fear of death, right? If I don't pay my bills, I get kicked out. I get evicted. I don't have a place to live. I don't have food. That's what it's really all about. So we have to peel this fear down to the very core of what it really is. And all money is the fear of not having enough food and the fear of dying. And I know that's a stretch for most of us. It was for me when I got started. That's what this is about, the fear of death. So when we learn to control our money and budget and whatever it is that we call it, I don't care what it is that you call it, politically correct or whatever, budget, make it happen, do it, be financially responsible. You slowly over time, not all of us do this, and it doesn't mean you get to a place where you're like, well, I'm better than Evan, I'm better than Ben, I'm better than Monty. No, you just slowly decrease your fear, me included, of death, because that's what money is. What do you do with money? You pay your rent, you pay your light bill, and screw all of that, you put food in your mouth. That's what money is. And when we are bad at handling that, we have a severe fear of death, all of us. No one is immune from this. I don't care if it's the Pope. I don't care if it's Barack Obama. I don't care if it's anybody. Ultimately, deeply, spiritually, it is a fear of starving to death. And when we just say, look, I'm going to command this thing. I'm going to pay my bills. I'm going to be responsible. I'm not going to take $300 and hand it to Visa because I'm an idiot. We take back the power and the control. I don't give a damn who your master is. Black, white, green, brown, it doesn't matter. These people that control this system don't care what color you are. All they want is your energy. And they will gladly take it if you give it to them willingly. So my answer is just learn to control it. Be more mindful. Be more aware. Be more conscious. And you take back the power, and you're like, you know what? I feel more powerful. I feel more powerful. Screw Visa. Screw Capital One. Screw Bank of America. Screw all these people. I can do business with them if I want to, but you know what? I do not choose to contract with them, because here's what a contract is. A contract means to contract. What does contract mean? It means to squeeze something tighter. To contract means to squeeze something tighter. That's what a contract is. To stop contracting your future labor to people who don't even have the money, by the way, because they create it out of nothing.
That's right. All right, so Mr. Monty, man, money was created out of it as an idea that was created out of nothing, and that is absolutely correct. Monty, man, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit deeper than that, Greg. When I was younger, a long time ago, obviously, I took a personal financing course, and the professor, dear friend, he became a dear friend of mine, and he told, well, he did a demonstration in class, and it went like this. Raise your hand, you guys, if you have $10,000 or more in credit cards, and then raise your hand if you have that much money spread amongst, one or more cards or something. And a lot of 80% of the class put their hand in the air. And then he asked you guys, I think what came after that was he had us do a spreadsheet that talked about how our assets versus our liabilities. And believe it or not, see, a lot of us don't have a clue in terms of whether or not we're in the black or whether or not we're in the red. And believe it or not, psychologically, I think a lot of people, they don't want to look that closely at their finances because it's almost like exposing yourself in public, naked, okay? How soon would you go out in front of your house and with no clothes on, okay? When if I took a look at my finances and I thought because I have a good job and it should be able to pay the bills or whatever, I think I'm doing okay, right? But the employer may be paying me $80,000 and I could be spending $90,000 a year, right? That is not going to work. That's not a very good long-term strategy. So I think the problem goes a little bit deeper. I think psychologically, we want to convince ourselves that we're doing better than we are without actually analyzing the numbers. How much are you spending? Evan kept pointing out very, very eloquently. I don't care how much you make. What do you keep? What are you putting in your bank? Okay, that's what makes all the difference in the world. And believe it or not, you guys, get a grip. Find out if you're broke. Find out if you're not. When you find out the truth, guess what? Now you can start to repair the problem. And believe it or not, we have a systemic issue, as Greg was pointing out. The Federal Reserve is a slave master. They figured out how to put this worthless paper in your pocket and get you to sign documents obligating you to pay a lot of money back into a system where the money was created out of thin air in the first place, okay? So realize you're up against something that's very, very much designed to defeat what you're trying to accomplish, okay? When you're born, you get a number. We call it a Social Security number, but other people might call it a indebtedness, right? A number that signifies you.
The Jews burned it on their arm. They didn't
exactly.
The Germans burned it on the Jews' arm. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And when you're born, you're working your way out of debt. Okay, right. There's a government obligation from the United States to pay this other country. I'm not gonna get into all of that, but believe it or not, this is set up so that every time a person is born, they got a number on their head and they're working their way out of debt from that point. And unless you understand what money is about, what finances are about, and the game is rigged, until you understand that, guess what? You're gonna be struggling. Okay, I'm done.
So, solution, Turks, Evan, I'm not trying to commandeer this. Solution Trucks made a very powerful statement in the comments in the question. I feel like there's two conversations happening here. I embrace that, and I understand that, because your heart and your mind is totally torn apart. Wait a minute, I thought we were talking about how to get out of debt. Now we're talking about tattooing numbers on people's arms. Really, really. And I'm not asking you to make the stretch. All I'm saying is, I feel you. I understand that. I have spent many nights awake at 2 o'clock in the morning and saying, is this really the depth of the slavery? And it is.
It is.
It took me years to get there, years to understand and go, is this really what we're dealing with? Is this, and I don't mean we, I mean me. As in, I get up, I go to work, I punch the clock, and they tax me, they being whoever they are. And it took a lot of time for me to get there. And it doesn't mean you need to get there. All it means is I know at my core, this is a slavery system. Regardless of skin color, it doesn't matter. They don't care what color you are. The color is what they use to divide us against each other. Black, white, brown, Indian, Chinese, they don't care. It's about energy. That's all it is.
Well, and two is, hold on. Okay, good. Go ahead, Ben.
I just want to add to that, the one thing that we all see around us, friends, family, we value these mechanisms that are put in place to make us run on this hamster wheel, and it distracts us from being able to invest in not only the money aspects of our life, but the other resources you mentioned, Evan, like the time that we have that we can't spend with our families because we're so in a to keep making money to pay bills off. We can't spend time with our family. They're getting older, getting more unhealthy, and we're missing that opportunity to spend time with our kids or our spouse, whoever. We're missing out on opportunities to invest in relationships, friends that we don't see anymore because we have to go to work, or we can't be financially independent when we retire. We have to keep going to work. And so those people that are steadily dying or getting sick or moving away, we're missing those opportunities. We're so busy trying to keep up the rat race and keep up the rat race with the stuff that we have, which is worthless anyway. At the end of the day, we're gonna die and we're gonna leave it. So we were missing those opportunities because we put our stuff on a pedestal, like I said earlier. We aren't realizing the time and relationships and the talents that we have. We have talents that we don't even utilize because we're so busy going to work every day. Like, that's a big deal, and I want to be able to utilize my talents that are God given because I want to, not because I've been paid to for 9 to 5 or whatever your shift is if you go to work. I want to be able to utilize those things and grow those things and not have to worry about money sometimes.
Yeah, and so when we talk about that, Ben, is here's the question I have for you guys. Everyone that's paying attention, that's watching and listening. Why do you go to work? That's a good question to ponder on. It's a good question to answer. A good question to think about. Why do you go to work? For some of us, we go to work because we have to. For some of us, we go to work just because everyone else goes to work. For some of us, we go to work because we actually want to. Do you have a strategy behind your day-to-day operation of going to work? Is there a method? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? If I go to work every day so that I can accomplish this, I have, so those who said to fulfill his purpose. But he has a purpose behind why he goes to work, other than just going to work. Because it's all that you thought you could and should do. I'm self-employed. Fantastic.
Whoops.
He'll be back.
Okay. He's been popping in and out frequently this evening.
Good input, by the way, Monty. I love that. Federal Reserve, a great place to start. Bitcoin, definitely. Digital currency.
Thank you.
Definitely. Good stuff.
Whew, I'll tell you, this is it.
You're okay, brother. Just come on in. Do your thing.
And now here's why I'm asking this question about why do you go to work? Because once you have a financial plan in place and you have a purpose for why you do what you do, then you'll never feel like the work that I do is who I am. See, a lot of us, when we say, hey, who are you? Hey, I'm a financial educator, or I'm a cook, I'm a chef. Like we define who we are by what we do instead of defining who we are by who we are. See, what you do is only a portion of who you are. And once you realize your purpose in life, and really you've been called to really be debt free, once you really understand that, hey, man, there is a freedom that comes with being debt free. Here's what happened when I got debt free. And I'm pretty sure Ben has had the same experience. It gave me what I like to call options. I could freely walk away from the job that I hated because I was debt free. I didn't have the obligations for which my job was tied to in order to pay those obligations. I could freely go and start to work on building my business because I didn't have the obligations that were tied to the job that said I had to be here in order to pay for this. Many of us, that's why we go to work. I go to work so I can pay for this. I go to work so I can pay for this. Well, now when I do go to work, or if I choose to work at some corporation or self-employed or whatever it is, I'm doing it with a different purpose. It's not to pay for this. It's to finance my future. It's to finance my future. I'm no longer going to work to pay for this. I'm going to work to finance my future. My future would be obviously the things that I want to do and accomplish in this life, and also the future of my family. I'm going to work to finance my future. How many of you guys want to be in a position that you can say, hey, the reason why I come to this 9 to 5, the reason why I spend 40 hours a week here, not anymore because I don't have to spend more than 40 hours a week here, or I don't even have to spend 40. I can just spend 25 and be okay. How many of you guys want to be in a position where you can say, the reason why I go to work is to finance my future? That's the place that I want each and every one of you to be. I want you to be in a position where you can, Mr. Spot Gadget, man, I'm going to have to, you hear this noise over here.
I got noise?
Yeah, I heard some clicking or something going on. Are you typing?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hold on.
No, I'm kicking you out. Last time, no, you come back when you get it. All right.
Actually, I muted him, so I'm sorry. I did hear the noise earlier. So
yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
But it's cool. So I want you guys to be in a position where you can say the reason why I go to work is to finance my future.
Yep.
Not to pay for my past. I want to repeat that again. I really want that to sink in for you. I really want you to visualize what financing your future looks like, what it feels like. I'm going to work today so I can finance my future instead of paying for my past. How many of you guys are still paying for stuff that you don't even own anymore? How many of you guys are paying for things that you don't even use anymore, i.e. that college certificate that you never even used to get a job? How many of you guys are paying for stuff that you don't even own anymore? Paying for a couch that you sold 3 years ago?
So how
does that feel to say, man, you know what? I said I was going to pay this later, but I didn't know it was going to be this much later.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is because I want to make sure that although you may be in a situation or you may not, you may have overcome your situation. My whole goal, my whole purpose at this point in time in my life is to make sure that your children don't have to go through the same thing. And here's the thing. The reason why I say that is this, because even though my parents went through the same thing, they didn't make sure that I didn't go through the same thing. So even though it's noble enough to say that, hey, I want my child to have better, I don't want them to experience the same thing that I experienced. They didn't teach me. They raised me well, but they didn't teach me some of these concepts that I think they could have taught me, and maybe that just wasn't their focus. It's not an indictment on my parents. I'm just saying that it maybe just wasn't their focus, or maybe they didn't really extract the learning lessons that they could have took from it and shared them with me.
Yep.
Yeah, they can only teach what they know. I agree, but if you have the experience of being in debt, that's something you can teach. But my point is, my goal is to make sure that your children do not have to experience the same thing, that they don't have to start work saying that I'm going to work to pay for my past instead of to finance my future. So what I'm doing is next week, again, next Saturday, I haven't created the link yet, But if you're following me on Twitter, you're following me on Facebook, you're following me, you know how to follow me. Then I'm gonna have a link up tomorrow that you can register your child and you can come too. And I'm gonna do it what we call a Kid Vest. Kid Vest is I teach the next generation about money. I've been doing this for a while, and I realize the reason why I focus on the kids because parents are just hard-headed. Children are like sponges. Parents are hard-headed. Now, if I can get to your children, then I can get to you. Because once your kids start coming to you and talking to you about escrow and you don't know what it is, you're gonna be like, okay, I need to find out what that is that he's learning. But I'm going to teach your children next week. The title of it is What to Do with a Dollar. I believe if they learn what to do with a dollar, they'll know what to do with $10. They'll know what to do with $100. They'll know what to do with $1,000. They'll know what to do with $10,000. They'll know what to do with $1 million. What to do with a dollar. Once they learn this, once they grasp this, it just enters into their mind. What they can say when they get older is they can't say that I didn't know. What they can say is that I chose not to do. That's going to be on them. But I want to put the knowledge in them. And you, if you want to, obviously I want you to show up as well. I don't want your kids learning something you're not around. And you're like, what's this guy teaching my children? But that's what we're going to do next week. This is what I'm passionate about. I've been called to do it. I'm pretty sure Greg's been called to do what he does as well. Ben, he does his contributions as well. You got a lesson on this today. That's right. So Noelle's been kind of following for a while. Her child has joined Kid Vest a couple. Anybody else here whose children have joined our Kid Vest calls before? I don't see anybody else. But if you have children or some children, maybe you don't have any kids, let them know that, hey, this is a great opportunity to get a free lesson about what to do with a dollar before you start work, man. Before you start work. Okay, that's all. That's my plug. That was a plug, by the way. But I got a plug because it's free, and I got to let you know. Mr. Vango, man, you are here in the building.
Yeah. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
I wonder when you and Greg were going to do a blab at the same time.
I didn't know that Greg was here. We are now blab friends, man. Yeah.
Of course, I follow both of you guys. I don't always get to, see your show and everything, but I really appreciate what you bring and value what you do. I usually catch you in the early mornings. That's just usually when I'm getting out of bed. So I don't think you'd ever want me to come on that one. So I'm a big follower of Greg there. So, I just wanted to step in real quick and say about teaching children when they're young. This is how I got acquainted with Greg on his show, is that all three of my children had checking accounts when they were 12. I kind of had a rite of passage, if you would, for all of them, and taught them about money then, because if you wait till they go to college, they'll probably come back $40,000 credit card debt, $130,000 student loan debt. And if I'm not going to teach them, the world will. And it's
say that again, brother. You got to say that again.
Yeah, if I'm not going to teach them, the world will. So when you start, adding all that together, and so that's just kind of the way we operate things. And one of the things is, as a father, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and I'm trying to raise 2 kings and a queen. And if you know anything about royalty, you're not going to be a king if you're broke.
It's not going to happen, here, guys.
It is not going to happen. And I said, so when you get ready to make those steps of having a family, you want to be ready for those moments in time. And so, but that's what's got our country in trouble, is we can't wait for anything. And the longer you can hold out and wait on a purchase, you guys know as well as I do, in a year from now, it's going to be nearly obsolete.
Yeah.
When you watch people on Black Friday go in there and kill themselves over a flat screen, that's somebody that doesn't know how to wait. That's all that's teaching you, is that, I've done factory work before in my life. They're always making another TV somewhere. You can count on it. There's going to be another TV. So, and consumerism gets you to believe that that's the only one left, because they're wanting to sell them all. And so, but if it's just like that quote, all things come to those who know how to wait. You got to wait it out, because that's denying yourself. That's self-denial. It's a discipline. And when you lose that, you're pretty much going to lose everything, because I believe it follows you in every area of your life. I believe money, the only thing money is, everybody's got a different definition. My personal definition is it's just a measuring tool. It shows you what's important in your life. That's it.
And here's the deal, Vango, man, you just dropped some. I'm glad I got this recorded, guys, because I'm gonna have to listen to this myself. I've been in and out, but I'm gonna have to listen to this myself. So Vango, man, you just came in and dropped some bombs. Dude, you just said that the lack of discipline, it is really the cause of the issues that we see in society, and issues that we may even see in our own very own lives, as it relates to our finances, and even beyond that. But what I really liked about what you said, man, is that he has the mentality of raising kings and queens, and he understands that kings and queens are not broke. When you think of your children and you think of raising them, do you have a very similar mentality that I'm gonna raise a king and a queen? And if you are going to raise a king or a queen, that means that you have to be of some royalty yourself. How can you teach someone to not be broke if you're broke? All you can do is teach them what not to do, possibly, but you can't really tell them what to do, which is, that's half the equation, right? Oh, I can teach you what not to do. Don't do this. But here's the problem with that. We tell people all the time what not to do, but we're more apt as a people to say, okay, well, here's what I should do. Okay, boom, I'll do that. But when we tell people what they shouldn't do, they typically say, oh, no, I shouldn't do that. Well, I'm at least try that, because it must have been something fun or exciting or something about that. It's something that you're restricting me from doing, so I want to do that. If you have a child that you have consumed in this household of restriction, as soon as they get away, they wild out, because now they have the freedom. Well, it's the same thing kind of with that, right? Like, it's now you're a caged bird. And until you get out of that cage, you don't have really the freedom to go and experience the world as you would like to experience it. So whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. Look at that. He who hates reproof is stupid. And this is the Bible, right, guys? The Bible is calling people who hate reproof stupid. This is what the Bible says. And so, not to get into religious speaking, but a book, the great book itself, is telling us what's dumb, and we still don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
So is this going to be the year 2016 where you say, I'm going to curb my appetite? I'm going to connect with people that's going to help me to discipline, because self-discipline is very difficult to do if you haven't done it for 20 years. I mean, let's be honest. It's going to be very hard for me to say, hey, I'm going to stop shopping at such and such if, just off the whim. But if you can get a group of people who are going to support you in your efforts, I'll call it partnering for your success. And that is what I do as a coach. I partner with you to your success, whatever that may be. Now, obviously, I specialize in finances, but I've helped people just really get a grasp of their life and set their life up for success. And so what I'm saying is, guys, if you need help, the good book tells you what you need to do. First, you got to recognize that you got a problem. Okay, I got a problem. I'm in debt. I'm 40 years old. I don't even have no money in the savings account. I got $5,000 in debt. I'm broke. Whatever. Recognize your reality, whatever your reality is. Just say, hey, this is the reality. Stop doing all the affirmations about what you will do and what you're going to do. I want you to affirm the truth right now, whatever the reality is for you right now. Then I want you to say, okay, here is the reality, but yes, I can fix it, and here's how I can do it. How can you do it? Well, you got to ask, you got to seek, and you got to knock. You got 4 people on this blab right now who are saying that I'm here to quite possibly be an accountability partner for you, quite possibly be somebody that you can talk to, real talk, because sometimes you got to have a real talk. Not the people that's just going to say yes to everything that you want to do, but somebody going to say, you know what, that's stupid. Don't do that. That's not a good decision. And then reach out to them. If it's me, it's me. If it's not, if it's Greg, it's Greg. Whoever it is that's in your life that you're saying, hey, this person I believe is wise with their money, and I want to learn from them. I want to stay connected with them, and I want to ask for their permission. I want to allow them into my life to hold me accountable to success financially. Ben, what you got, man? Because I'll talk. I'll just go on, guys. I don't want to, that's just what I do. But I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to share your thoughts and share with the people, man, because we gotta change the way we think. We have to cut off the TV. We have to turn off the radio. We have to stop listening to all the commercials. We got to get away from what we're accustomed to so that we can become who we are to become. And I believe each and every person that's here right now, each and every person that decided to tune in, they're saying that I want to live the life of being debt free. I may have done it before. I may have had the opportunity. I might know what to do, but I want to make sure that I'm connected to people who are at least going in that direction so I can get there that much faster. And that's what really this blab is all about. It's about making sure that you have the opportunity to connect with people who are at least talking about it, being about the business of not just a resolution, but a plan. No more resolutions, but a plan. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, put me on the spot, but I have a good word picture for everybody that likes descriptions. If you ever look at any of those National Geographic specials where they have the zebra and the lions and the Serengeti, you see the zebra. All the zebras, when they're by themselves, they usually get taken by the lion every time, no matter what. But if those zebras are together in a pack and they're blending in with each other and they almost look like a big animal, those lions can almost never get them. And they may do every now and then, but most of the time, when the zebras together and they're acting as a herd, the lions don't catch them. The lions can't eat them. So that's what we need to do in our finances when we have those accountability partners in our lives that Evan spoke about, or when we have our spouse. We got to group together like the zebras and stay protected and keep the lions, keep the economy or job layoff or whoever, whatever the enemy is, keep that from getting us, keep that from killing us.
Absolutely. So we have Britt. I know that you did you had a big breakthrough. You did a New Year's plan. I said this to everybody. I don't know who all heard it. I didn't want you to do a New Year's resolution this year. I want you to do a New Year's plan. If you do a resolution, that'll get you started. But if you have a plan, it'll get you to the finish line of whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life. And part of your plan has to have some element of your finances in your plan, because most of what you may want to do or accomplish, that has some element of cost associated with it. And so you want to include that in your New Year's plan. What's going to be different this year? What's going to be upgraded or enhanced about your financial situation this year? And what are you going to do to take care of it? Yeah, you need an everyday solution. So that's that. Greg, you got anything else you'd like to share, man?
It's pretty simple. Money is 3D, pretty simple. The $100,000 bill doesn't exist anymore. Woodrow Wilson, the man who signed on to the Federal Reserve Act, which created the slavery that we now live in, doesn't mean he was an evil man. He was deceived. It's okay. He's a human being. We must feel compassion for him. Unfortunately, since 1913, legally, we felt the ramifications of that decision, and it's okay. And we shouldn't fight the battle in the court, by the way. And if you think you can remedy this slavery in the court system, give it up. The court system is not built for people to realize their freedom. The court system is built to continue to enslave people. Okay? The jail system is a for-profit industry. How do I know that? Because they trade on Wall Street. How do you increase your profit if you trade on Wall Street? You house more human beings. So human suffering is a for-profit industry in this country. It is not rocket science. So I can be angry and yell at the government and get pissed off at Barack Obama, at Hillary Clinton, all these other people that have come before them and that will continue to come after them. Ben Carson included, black, white, green, brown, it doesn't really matter. Here's the thing. It's about personal responsibility. And I was extremely mad at the government for years. And you know what I did when I was mad at the government? I didn't clean up my own house. And I think there's a good book that tells us, clean up your own house. And I'm not an expert in that book. I am not an expert in that book and never will be. Clean up your own house, Greg Whitaker. Clean up your own house. And then maybe one day you'll have the ability to teach someone else the ability to clean up their house. Right? And here's what really took me a long time. Do not cast your pearl to swine. Stop teaching people who will take what you give them and push it into the mud. Why? Well, Greg, I must save them. No, you must not. That is not your job, Greg. Debt shepherd, that is not your job. Why? Because as you're casting your pearl to swine, they're pushing it into the mud, and you are depriving other people who will embrace your teaching. And it doesn't mean that the teaching will be the time for them. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I needed a student. I was a student in 06, and I needed a teacher. And I said, please, God, give me a teacher. And within about 60 days, bam, that teacher showed up. He's still living. I've emailed him. I've thanked him. And I've moved on. And within 90 days, I said, I must teach other people. And this is about freedom. It's not about getting rich and putting money in the bank and having property and living in the Hamptons. It's about bondage and teaching people to release the yoke. I don't give a damn if you're a Christian or a Buddha. I don't care. Black, white, brown, green, it doesn't matter to me. And the vast majority of the people who come to me, they happen to be black. I don't care. If you speak the truth, people will listen. And it doesn't matter who they are. Just speak it. And I have days where I'm like, am I doing it right? And, how do you do it? Do you fine tune it? Do you do it on Saturday at 10, 11, 12? Who really gives a flip? Just teach it, for God's sakes. And people will come and they'll show up. And you know what? I sleep very well at night. I happen to do a teaching on Saturday at 11 on this particular platform. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Just do it. And Van showed up and he's like, hey, man, this is really cool. And I'm going to do something else because I saw you do it and I'm doing it overseas. It's an amazing thing. Just do it. It's a synergy. It's an amazing, look, 2,000 years ago when Jesus walked the earth, are you kidding me? If he had the internet, what do you think would have happened? I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't comment on that. This technology is a blessing. Stop bitching about it. Blab is this. Facebook is that. It's not good enough. Shut up and teach. Take your message to the world. And it's okay if you have doubt in your mind. Just do it.
Hey, you just I want to Van, I'm gonna let you speak in just a second. I know you got some more knowledge to drop on this. I want to actually pick up on something that Greg just said, and I think that this is very important, and I think this is going to help some people that are listening right now, and maybe that's going to listen later. But he said, take your message to the world. So we talked a little bit about spending less. Now we can talk about a little bit about making more income. One of the ways that you can make more income is by teaching what you know. Whatever it is that you are an expert at, because there's something that you know that somebody else is willing to pay you for, that somebody else wants to learn, based on your expertise. There are some people that are great with graphic design. There's some people that are great with cooking. There are some people that are great with all these different things. And you got this whole next generation that's coming up behind you who haven't been taught anything. And so you have an opportunity to take what you have learned and use it to teach other people. Even if you don't teach it for profit, you do have an opportunity to do that as you put yourself out there. And so one of the things that you can be creating when you say I'm gonna create my business is you can be creating a consultation where you are teaching other people what you know. That's exactly what this is that I'm doing, right? I'm teaching people what I know, and I just happen to be passionate about it, and hopefully you're passionate about what you do. But that's an opportunity for you to get out and say, hey, here's a way that I can make some extra income by doing something that I love. And who knows, by doing something that you love and making that extra income, it could turn into the very next thing that carries your life through the next phase of your life. So I really want you to think about what are the gifts, the talents, and abilities that are within me. And how can I use those gifts, those talents and abilities to help other people, to serve more people, which in turn will generate more income for you. I know you're going to think about all these different cool ideas and all these different things that you can be doing, but I really want you to think about what is it, the gifts, the talents, abilities that I have. What am I passionate about? And how can I use these gifts, these talents and abilities to serve more people, which will in turn, at the end of the day, the more people that I serve, the more money that I make. A lot of the money that I make right now, it comes from my network. It comes from people that have entrusted me. That comes from the people that trust my message, that trust my content, and they tell other people about it. The same way that you shared this platform with other people, we got all these people that have shown up today. It's just because I put myself out there. Are you willing to put yourself out into the world in order to generate more income? And are you willing to do it efficiently? You don't have to use, you don't have to, your second job could be using your talents and your abilities. That could be your second job. Now, you may have to take a second job temporarily just to get out of the mess that you created. But what I'm saying is, if you're using some of if your part-time job is using your talents and abilities to service more people, you'll quite soon you will find that your part-time job becomes your full-time job. Is everybody hearing me? I really want to make sure you're getting this. If you're using your talents and your abilities part-time to generate some type of income, you're doing some teaching, you're doing some coaching, you're giving back from what you have inside of you. Eventually, your part-time, which is what you love to do, probably what you were born to do, or not let's say born, probably what you have been designed to do as of late, will then become your full-time. Now, think about this. Yeah, it sounds like Jim Rohn. But now think about this. How good will it feel if you're now doing something that you love to do full-time? And you're doing it because you're financing your future instead of paying for your past. Bango.
I agree with you totally. You know, sometimes it takes quite a few streams to make a big river. So if that's your goal, is to you have to find out what it is you're working for. And I kind of agree with Greg. Other than basic necessities, after that, I'm always looking to see how I can better someone else's life. Because you know, we live from one moment to the next anyway. And my goal is to actually reach people in prison, not debt prison, prison, is because in what I've studied in the disconnect, they weren't around a king. That's why they're in prison.
Woo!
As well.
He been dropping some bombs.
So,
Bango,
you know,
Scripture have to
says,
get on more often, man.
Well, I just usually like listening. I tend to learn more when I don't talk. So, but is because there's a mentality there, and so you can be like I told the guys in prison, and my goal is to reach every one of them in the state of Tennessee, maximum security. And I have a program called Unbelievable, and it's just about how honeybees produce honey, and while they're producing honey, they're preaching the gospel. I can prove it. They're not just making honey. There's a system. And, you know, you've heard busy as a bee, and really a lot of wealth never happens because people are not busy enough. You know, wealth's not going to hunt you down. You got to go get it. You know, so these guys have never been taught this. So this is my goal. And I went there a couple of weeks ago, and you could only take 20 prisoners at a time. And my goal, there was 1,200 at this one facility. So I was doing the math of how long that was going to take. So I prayed because it's a desire of my heart. And I just got a note just yesterday that now you can do 140 at a time. And so that's just a personal goal of mine, is to reach them with a message that I know it'll change their life, because it changed mine. I'm a honeybee farmer. So, you know, I bottle it. I put it in bottles to show people how beautiful honey. And actually, my favorite bottle is an old whiskey bottle, and different ones is to show now you've got something in that bottle that's good, as far as I'm concerned.
Guys,
something
really
that'll last a long time.
Man, this is awesome, guys. So listen, pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Guys, we are on Blab at 11 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday night, talking about money, talking about debt-free living, talking about changing the landscape of our finances and life, period. And we are getting blessed upon blessings just for showing up. Some of you guys have just you guys just said, you know what, I'm just going to show up. And look at what you're leaving with. Look at the nuggets. Look at the wisdom. Look at the inspiration. Look at the motivation that you're able to probably go to bed at night. And this motivation, this inspiration is going to cause you to have some different type of dreams. These different type of dreams are going to cause you to wake up different. And you're going to have a whole new zest and hopefully a whole new plan or idea about how you can change your life if you need to change your life, or how you can upgrade your life. Man, he just talked about, man, Django, I'm gonna be listening to this all night long because man, I really want to get into prison too, man, and really, you know, I want to be in a position where I can help them get reinstituted into society, because you know how it is when you get out of prison. It's like, you know, I don't know where I can work and all this stuff, but I think that if they come out with some knowledge, they'll be able to still use their gifts, talents, and abilities to still sustain themselves and to overcome. That's a big thing to overcome. So Vango, man, I really appreciate you stepping up and sharing with us tonight, man. This is good stuff.
I want to make a practical comment to people.
Yeah.
Especially in the Christian community, and I've seen this personally. If you are doing terribly handling, let's just say $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year, $20,000 a year, and you think you've been called, right, to go do something bigger, I've got news for you. Don't mistake a calling for lack of discipline of the blessings that you've already been given, because you will sense defeat. You will feel defeat. And what happens is you blame it on God and you say, I was called. Why is this not happening? It's because you didn't have the discipline to handle $20,000 a year, and now you think you can handle $100,000 a year. I got news for you. If you suck at handling 20, you're going to suck terribly at handling 100,000, because all money does is amplify who you already are. Included, by the way, me included. So let's say I'm making $40,000 a year working at the bank. I've been working at a bank for 15 years, and I hit the lottery. What does that mean, Greg? Let's define it. Let's say the lottery means 20 million net in my bank account, and I suck at handling 40. Guess what's going to happen to Greg Whitaker when he gets 40 million? He is going to blow every dollar of it. He may give some to charity, and he may give some to family. But in the end game, if you study these people, where are they? They are broke, busted, and thoroughly disgusted because they did not have the consciousness or the heart, whatever word you want to use, to deal with that level of prosperity. It is a proven fact.
Some things that you think are a blessing turn out to be a curse. So, and here's the deal: we actually got this going on right now, guys. You know, the story about the lady who won in North Carolina, who won $122 million, who's now bailed out of her boyfriend $12 million and done it 4 times already. She's just blowing through money. You know, we see it time and time again. This is probably the most recent. But, you know, at the time, it was like, yeah, it's great. She won all this money. You know, she got the 4 kids and all this and stuff. But she doesn't. A fool and his money will soon part ways. You have the money, but you don't have the knowledge and the discipline. Then the money is going to go to the people who have the knowledge and the discipline. We pay the people who are experienced and who have the education. That's where the money goes. It goes to the people that know how to handle it. And so we really want to help you, and we want to help you really get to a place where you can build the discipline in your life to know how to handle what comes into your hand. Again, this is why I'm going to teach your kids this next week: how to handle what comes into their hand, how to handle a dollar, what to do with a dollar is what I'm going to teach your children. I don't care what age they are, any age under 18. I'm going to teach them next Saturday at 10 a.m. Just continue to follow me. I have the links up at some point in time tomorrow when I get to it. But Ben, I saw you have an expression when Det Shepherd was talking about this, so I know you got something to say.
No, what I was thinking was that for everybody on here looking and viewing this call, think about, because I feel the Holy Spirit's in this room right now, this virtual room. I can feel that. I don't throw that around very lightly, but I want everybody to think about what their dreams or goals were before this blab conversation, and think about what they are now. Think about the huge progression that hopefully is there from what you were thinking and what you will soon be preparing to do based off of all the information and all of the awesome experiences you're getting from this blab conversation. So that's my homework for everybody, is to write down what your new dreams are after watching this, after being a part of this.
Absolutely. Life changing blab, guys. Who knew? Saturday night at 11 o'clock, we've been having a life-changing blab talking about money, but ultimately talking about life, because wealth is more than just what's in your bank account. Wealth is what's in your heart, in your mind, and in your spirit as well. And what are you doing, not only with the money that comes into your hand, but what are you doing with your gifts, talents, and abilities? Because that is where the creation comes from. That's where the creation of bringing more into your house comes from. And I would say that if you are wasting money, I would also say that you're probably wasting some of your talents, your gifts, and your abilities. Because if you were using your talents, your gifts, and your abilities to the fullest, you'd be too busy to be wasting all of your money. You'd find more value in the hard work that you put into getting that money or earning that money, and you would be more careful with it. So a lot of us, we don't think about how hard it took for us to make that $10 an hour. You know, we put in, and I equate it like this. I put in 50 hours or 60 hours to make the overtime and get paid, right? And then I go buy a $300 pay station. Well, how many hours did I have to work to get a PlayStation? I basically worked 30 hours to get a PlayStation. So I didn't just pay for a PlayStation with $300. I paid for my PlayStation with 30 hours of hard labor. Does that add up? I just bought my PlayStation for 30 hours of hard-earned labor. And this is how I want you to start thinking about the things that you buy, thinking about the value that you put in the things that you purchase. How many hours did it take for you to get to be able to afford to buy whatever it is that you're looking to buy next? And is it worth it? For me to say I spent $300 on groceries, hey, that's fine. 30 hours to put food on the plate, on the table, and put food in the house, hey, that's worth it to me. But $300 to get a PlayStation, just to have some fun and to kill some time and take away from the time that I could be using my gifts, my talents, and abilities, unless I'm using the PlayStation to do some YouTube stuff, to make some money on YouTube or whatever it is you're doing it. But ask yourself, is the time that's spent in order for me to get whatever it is I desire, is it worth it? I think that's something that if you ponder on before you buy, if you ponder on before you even go to the store, it can help you to spend less. Because now you're going to say, man, it's just not worth it. And I want you to start saying that. Hey, not worth it. I mean, that's not worth it. No, it ain't worth it. I mean, I'm pretty sure when you go and you maybe go shopping for a car or something like that, you think like that. You negotiate. And you're like, nah, it ain't worth that. But then when we go buy all the little stuff, we don't say that because it seems like it's just nominal. But what I'm saying is when I teach our children what to do with $1, this same mentality is going to transform across not only just $1, but to $10,000 to $10 million. It's the same principle that we employ from the smallest amount to the largest amount. And this is what I want to teach your children. So, man, guys, it's 11:14. I know, I got a lot I can talk about, but I really just want to thank you guys for one, showing up. That's the main thing, showing up. I mean, you guys could have been doing anything tonight. You saw something, you decided to show up. Everyone wasn't necessarily invited, but everyone showed up. And that is great. Because you showed up, you've made this time that we've had together very powerful. You've changed some lives just by showing up. And not only the people that are in the seats, but the people that are watching, you showed up and you participated in this conversation. A lot of stuff was going on in the comments. I couldn't catch everything, but I know that this is a very powerful time together, and I'm going to definitely do this again soon. I didn't know what I was walking into. I just knew that it was like, hey, you need to get on and do a blab tonight. You need to talk about this thing, and that's what I did. Guess what? I did what I was called to do, and this is what we got. This is what we got. So, Mr. Vango, real quick, man, if you just tell people how to, what you do, how to follow you, and then if everybody is connecting with Mr. Vango, you can just click on above his name and you can follow him whenever he might do a blab in the future. When you do your blab in the future, you make sure you hit me up. I want to be there because I want to listen to this. But let people a little bit know about what you're doing, where they can follow you and find you.
Well, I'm just a minister. That's what I do. That's my job, my calling, if you would. And my goal, of course, is to reach prisoners. And I'm working on not only that concept, but I have 8 people already on board with this. Is they're picking an animal, their favorite animal, and they talk about how they preach the gospel, because all animals do. And they closely identify with an animal. For instance, I met a guy, actually one of them's on blab. He's going to do one about a dolphin. So our goal is, I do honeybees and giraffes. Okay. I explain what they do, why God created them. what their strength and weakness is. It's like a sermon meets comedy meets TED Talk, all in one whack. And this is why it's so popular in prison. So my plan is to have a tour where the next person comes behind and they do an animal. What I'm finding out is usually the animal you like is very closely linked to your personality.
Fantastic.
It's a pretty neat thing. So I'm really working hard at that. It's going to be under Unbelievable. The Honeybees is the flagship. So it's just unbelievable.org. I just kind of started the website to kind of let people know where I was going to be, because you can't really advertise about prison. But it really took off in schools, and it's really taken off in church, of course. And so it's been one of the neatest things I've ever been a part of. So I'm just waiting to see what God does and how he does it. And so pretty soon I'm going to be, well, God told me I'm going to be going around the world. So we'll see.
So, Mr. Vega, I got a question for you. In your ministry, do y'all have a financial literacy program?
We do. It's pretty simple. We just kind of cover the basics, of what the Bible says. I just like we were talking about tonight, the borrower is slave to the lender, and what we try to do is take an approach of teaching kids when they're young, because most of the parents that do the teaching learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay. So they come in there with debt as there is so much you can't do with debt. If you get too much of it, there is a thing as manageable debt, but I recommend not having any of it if possible. But you're hindered. Yeah. And churches can't do what churches, and Christians, ironically enough, are the worst group with money. It's scary.
You don't want to get me started on that, because I'll go in. I talked to, let me stay off of that one for the night. I might pick that up tomorrow, because if you really read your Bible, then you probably would be more aggressive about getting out of debt. It tells you how tenacious you should be about not having a debt. And you should owe no one nothing but love. But all right, well, cool. Well, that's Mr. Van Gogh. If you guys are connecting with him, you like his message, his story, what he's doing, you want to support him, you want to be just want to kind of connect and follow him, man, click that button above him, follow him on Twitter, follow him on Blab. I'm definitely connected to Mr. Van Gogh. He's dropped some bombs with us tonight, and I've got to come back and watch it. That's just what it is. Mr. Ben Baxter, tell us a little bit about you, man, what you do, where we can find you. Baxter and Friends.
Yep. If you don't know, I'm an engineer by day, but with the rest of my time that I own for myself all the time, I write for BirminghamNewsAL.com, which you can get that information just by clicking my name in the corner. Also, I just started writing sports journalism as well for the Crimson Tide, really? Who are number 2 in the country right now, going to the championship game, by the way.
Roll Tide.
And also the church is very much a part of me right now. I just became an elder, which is a very humbling responsibility here in Tuscaloosa, and I am taking the mantle of trying to get at least 80%, but hopefully 100% of our congregation to be debt-free, except their mortgage, within 3 years. That's big, but that's my goal.
Fantastic.
I'm getting on that. I'm getting the whole team put together to try to implement that and do it well and do it with a lot of energy so that it can happen. But that is my biggest goal this year. Everything else is kind of, I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to keep writing, keep doing BaxterandFriends.net. Also follow that, subscribe. But that's my biggest thing right now, is getting our church in the situation that we can do really big kingdom work once we stop having payments to Visa and payments to Capital One and all those people. And we can really make the Lord famous with the money that we have and the time and relationship that we can invest in, because we no longer are bondage. We're no longer enslaved. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I've been really thinking about putting together. I got some financial education courses. I've really been thinking about putting together a biblical financial education course. Not sure if I necessarily have to do that, but love to partner with you guys as you guys continue with your congregations, and maybe have an opportunity to come down and speak with you guys and work with some things on you guys. So we'll stay connected. Greg, man, tell us a little bit about you, man. Where we can find you, what we need to know.
Pretty simple. My Twitter handle is my website, debtshepherd.com. And you know, my tagline is get your mind straight, get your money straight. The Bible speaks about money more than anything else, at least in the New Testament. And I am not an expert on the New Testament. I never will push myself to be. I have a friend who is a world religions expert. He has been, I mean, that guy is like the walking, breathing dude. I respect him tremendously. And I don't say I'm saying it because he says it. I'm pretty sure in the New Testament, money is talked about more than anything else. It's like 2/3. You know, whether it's prosperity, whatever, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is this: making more money is not the problem. What I do with the money I make is the problem. And it all gets back to the mind, because the money is just the physical thing. I understand at a deeper level now at 46, more than I've ever understood. Be in the world, but not of the world.
Woo!
In the world is money. It's currency. Current is electricity. Okay? All these things are connected. Okay? If you look at the dollar sign, it's an S, right? Right? And there's 2 lines through it, or even 1. It doesn't matter. So let's go back in history. Just a quick lesson. The word Isis, the goddess of prosperity. ISIS. There's 2 I's and there's 2 S's. Take the 2 I's and collapse them. Take the 2 S's and collapse them. You have an S and an I. That's what the dollar sign is. This is nothing new, people. We have been under this bondage for centuries. Centuries. It's just being repeated. And all it is, paying attention and saying, look, I see it. And Ben sees it. And Ben sees it. And Evan sees it. So why should we hoard the knowledge? We have to teach our children. And I love it when Van says we're teaching the kids, because I tend to teach people that are like, 40 and up. That's just where I am. But you know what? If we're not teaching the young people, we're missing it, because it's a repeated cycle of slavery. And you know what? The king loves it. And I don't mean the king. I mean the worldly king, the fleshly king, right? Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, it doesn't matter. Call it what you want. The king, the worldly king, be in the world, but not of it. It took me so long to understand what that really means. And the court system is not a remedy. We have to decrease our addiction on our need to borrow money, our need to remedy things in the court system. Well, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Okay, 2,000 years ago, that might have been relevant. Is it relevant today? Not for me. We have to look at the context of what we're talking about and understand, we say Jesus said this. I don't discount what Jesus said, but we have to look at where he lived and what he was dealing with the Roman Empire. I don't think there's a really big difference between what he was dealing with the Roman Empire and what we're dealing with today. It's just a copycat, right? The Roman Empire has followed us to today. It really has. So anyway, all that said, all I can tell you is if you suck at handling 30 grand a year, you're going to suck at handling 300 grand a year. You have to expand your discipline to handle the prosperity that God is giving you now. And if you don't do that, you will not have the discipline if you instantaneously come into much more prosperity. Now, and I'll shut up after this because I talk way too much. Anyone can gain, but not everyone can maintain. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight.
Hey, man. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you so much, Vango. Thank you so much, Ben. Well, I'm ERGJ, certified financial educator, man. You can find me. We got the wealthyhealthyhappy.net. That is a website we created for growing people. You can always check that out and keep up with us. I actually do have a show that I do every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern time. You can check that out as well. That is the show that if you're waking up in the morning, you need to get going. You need to connect to that show. It's a show of inspiration. Vango can talk about it and share with you some things that he's gotten from it. But we do that every day. And I believe that nothing great has ever been accomplished without a little inspiration. And so get that inspiration every day and start your day off right, or your night off right. I don't know what time it is, wherever you are. But again, follow me. Make sure you follow me. And if you have children, I want to make sure that you at least follow me for the next week, because starting tomorrow, I'm going to start to let people know when the next Kid Vest is. It's called Kid Vest. It's where where we invest in the next generation and teach them about money. And so next week, I'm going to teach your children what to do with $1. If they know what to do with $1, they'll know what to do with $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1 million. What to do with $1. We're going to start with small increments so they understand a process and a formula that will lead them to financial success for the rest of their life. If you have kids, you have nieces, you have nephews, you have friends that have kids, please let them know it is free. This is what I do for the kids. This is my way of giving back. I never charge the kids. I only charge adults. And my passion is for children. So if you'd like for your kids to know what to do with $1, and even if you want to know, because you might not even know what to do with $1, you just do what you want to do with it, and then you think that's okay. And that's got us in the midst that we're in right now. But if you've never had a plan for what to do with $1, then you probably have never had a plan for what to do with your paycheck. And if you can't manage your paycheck, how can you ever expect to manage your fortune? See, most of us want the fortune, but we don't want the discipline that comes with managing what we already have. And that's what we've been talking about tonight, discipline to live debt-free. It takes discipline. It takes a desire that I want to get out of the rut that I'm in, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do it. And then it takes discipline to actually fulfill the commitment to do it. It was not easy for me to get out of debt, but it was very well much worth it for me to get out of debt. And I didn't do it on a lot of money. I just did it on heart and soul. It didn't matter whether I was making $10 an hour, $12 an hour, $20 an hour. Obviously, the more that you do something, the more you start to get paid over time. You start to get raises. You start to get increases when you show that you are skilled in some particular area, but you got to start somewhere. So maybe you're starting at entry level, but you can still do it at entry level. Maybe you're already above that. You can still do it where you're above that. But the key is to offset our expenses with our income. We need to bring our income up and bring our expenses down. Even if your expenses or your income stays the same, your expenses have to go down until you can actually afford to live the lifestyle that you're probably currently living now that you can't afford. So at any rate, that's our time tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is recorded to be on my YouTube channel, and I re-upload it for everyone to be able to watch again, and I'll share it on all of my platforms. I really appreciate your time tonight. It showed me with all of these props that with all of these props that we're going to have to do this again. I really didn't expect all of this, but you get what you deserve when you put yourself out there. You get a lot more in return. And so we will do this again, and we'll be just talking about this money thing, because that's what I talk about. And obviously it's open, it's a blab, so we can end up talking about whatever, but you just want to make sure that you're connected so that you can be blessed and you can be less stressed, and you can change a life by being around people that are world changers. That's what it is. Same time tomorrow, Solution. You want me to do it tomorrow? I don't know about tomorrow, man. You got something going?
I gotta rest. Tomorrow's Sunday. I gotta rest.
Yeah, tomorrow's Sunday, man. So I'll be back on Monday at 7 a.m. I've got a challenge that I'm putting out on my Facebook stuff. But you guys follow everybody, connect with everybody. Again, thanks for your time. This is ERGJ, your certified financial educator. We are wealthy, we are healthy, we are happy, and we are out. You guys have a good night.